Good morning everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So here today we are going to be factorizing some complex equations. But before that, let's have a build up. So firstly, if we are told to factorize this using the factorization method, what we need to do is first find our product. So for any given quadratic equation, the equation is given in the form ax squared plus our bx plus our c, where this one is our a. Whichever number is connected with x squared, whichever number is connected to just x to the power 1, that's your b, and c is the number without x. So what we are going to have is that our product will be equal to ac, which is equal to our a is 2 times our c is -3. So 2 ac, so you just multiply. We are going to have 2 times -3 will give us -6, like that. Then your sum first. Your sum is the number which is just the coefficient of b. So if you look here, the coefficient of b is a -1 there. Since there is a negative, it means to say the number here is -1. So we are going to say -1. Then our factors are two numbers which when you multiply them, they are going to give you -6. When you add them, they are going to give you a -1, which is your sum. So if we get these two numbers, if I add my 2 minus our 3 there, it will give me -1. But if I multiply 2 times -3, it will give me -6. So which is correct. So after doing that, we are going to end up with such a situation as saying, if our AC is equal to that, then we are going to end up with our equation which is equal to 2x squared minus x minus 3, like that. Where there is this x, you put these factors. So we are going to have our 2x squared, then we are going to have minus, if we are beginning with a positive, it's +2, so we are going to say plus 2x, then we have minus our 3x, like that, minus 3. You will realize to say 2x minus 3 will give you -x, which means you haven't changed any meaning. So from here, you are going to factorize. 2 is common, and just here, 2 is common and x is common. So we are going to say 2x. Now we just write direct to say x plus 1. But what really is going on? So for the sake of the build-up, I'm going to explain what happens. So if you factorize a number, you are dividing. So that's why we are going to have a 2, then x is also common, then you just write the same number, your 2x squared, then we have plus a 2x. Now what happens is that when you factorize a number, you divide the number throughout, like that. That's how come they end up cancelled. So you are going to have also here minus 3, then you are going to have your 3x, then minus 3. You divide the number that you have, more like factorized. So it will be, so remember this value is negative, so you are dividing by negative throughout. -3 should be equal to. This is very, very important for the sake of the other explanation. So you are going to end up with a 2x, then we are going to say open brackets, 2 goes, then 1x goes, we are going to say x, then this one and this one, we are going to say plus 1, like that. Even here, we have -3, then in the brackets, -3 divided by 3, -3, it will give us our x, then we have plus our 1, like that. This should be equal to 0, like that. Then we take the bracket and see what's common. Here we have our x plus 1 as one bracket, then what is remaining, we put them in another bracket. So we are going to have our 2x minus 3 should be equal to our 0. So if you are told to find the value, it's either x plus 1 is equal to 0, or our 2x minus 3 should be equal to 0, like that. So we have our x is equal to, we take the 1 there, it will be -1, or our 2x should be equal to our +3 there, then we divide over 2 over 2. So our x is equal to -1, or our x should be equal to our 3 over a 2, like that. So these are our values of x. These are our values of x, like that. But now let's switch up with the complex part. If you understand that, it will be very easy for you to understand this. So if you look at this equation now, we are now looking at the radicals. So we are going to factorize using the factorization method. So this one, in order for us to factorize, let's find our product. Our product, remember, it is equal to AC. So it is not different. Whichever is connected with x squared, that's your A. Your C is the one without x. So this should be equal to, we are going to say the square root of 2. That's your 8 times the square root, or times 5, the square root of 2, like that. So what happens is that this is the same as you just write the number outside, they multiply. 5 times 1, it will be a 5. Then the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, this is the same as the square root of 4. You multiply the numbers inside if the root is the same. Square root of 2 times square root of 2, that's 4, which will give you 5 times a 2, like that. Because the square root of 4 is 2. You're just going to consider the positive. So we have a 10. So this is our product. Then you're going to say your sum. Your sum is equal to the coefficient with the number that has just got x to the power 1, which will be equal to 7. Then the factors, the two numbers, which when you add them, they are going to give you 7. When you multiply them, they are going to give you 10. So these numbers are 2 and a 5. If I multiply this, it's 10. If I add, they are going to give me 7. Then looking at our original equation, it's saying that the square root of our 2x squared plus our 7x plus our 5 square root of 2 should be equal to 0. So what we are going to do is that we are going to replace where this is. So we are going to say the square root of 2x squared, then we have plus our 2x, then plus our 5x. We are just replacing. So 2x plus 5x is still 7x. Then we have plus our 5. Then we have the square root of our 2 should be equal to 0. So this is the approach. Firstly, on the first part, factorize the one with a square. On the second part, just factorize the one without the square. So you are going to say the square root of our 2, like that, is common. Also the x is common. Now what this means is that you are going to be having something like the original equation cut here. The original equation is the square root of 2x squared plus our 2x. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide our square root of our 2x because it's outside. So you divide over the square root of our 2x, like that. Then you are going to say plus, here the 5 is common. So you are going to write 5. Then this is the same as having 5x plus the 5 square root of 2 over, then divide the 5. I'm doing this so that people can understand. So we have should be equal to, just remember that it should be equal to 0 there. So let's simplify. So we are going to have the square root of our 2, like that, x, like that. Then this one and this one goes, this one and the power will go. So we are going to remain with our x plus, now what we have here is a 2x. This x and this x goes, so we have a 2 over the square root of 2, like that. Then we have plus 5. Then what we are remaining with is this 5 and this 5 goes, so we are remaining with x. This 5 and this 5 goes, we have plus the square root of 2 should be equal to 0. Now remember, for you to factorize an equation, what is in the brackets must be the same. So what we are going to do is we are going to say square root of 2x, then we have our x plus, find the conjugate of this number, meaning to say just multiply by the square root of this number. So you are going to have 2 over the square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of 2 even on top square root of 2, if you remember your conjugates. Then this should be plus our 5, our x plus the square root of 2, which should be equal to 0. So what we have is the square root of 2x, then we have our x. What happens here is that 2 times the square root of 2, it will just be a 2 square root of 2. Now remember, square root of 2 times square root of 2, if they have the same square root, that's the same as the square root of 2 times 2, which will be 4, like that. So you just multiply what is inside if they both are protected by the square root. So you have plus our 5, then we are going to say x plus the square root of 2 should be equal to 0. So after doing that, you are remaining with square root of 2, x outside. We have x plus the 2 square root of 2 over the square root of 4 gives you 2. Then we have plus our 5. Then we have our x plus the square root of our 2 should be equal to 0. You will find that by doing this one and this one goes, we are going to have similar brackets. So we have our x plus our square root of 2. Then we have plus our 5. Then we have our x plus the square root of our 2, which should be equal to 0. So after doing that, as long as the brackets are the same, you can write one bracket to say x plus the square root of 2, and what is outside is the square root of 2x. Then we have plus our 5, which should be equal to a 0. So now what we are going to end up with is you equate this to 0. So we have our x plus the square root of 2. If we are factorizing, we could end here, but if we are finding the value, we can equate both of these brackets to 0. So this should be equal to 0. Then taking the 2 the other side, it will be x should be equal to negative the square root of 2. You just take it the other side. So this will become negative. The other part is the square root of 2x plus 5 should be equal to 0. Take the 5 the other side, it will be the square root of 2x should be equal to negative 5, like that, which will give us the square root of 2x, which should be equal to negative 5, over, you divide by the square root of 2 on both numbers. What you are going to end up with is x should be equal to negative 5 over the square root of the 2, like that. So you can end the answer like this, or you can just conjugate it by multiplying by the square root of 2, square root of 2. Remember, this one and this one can cancel themselves. That means to say we haven't changed any meaning. So we are going to have negative 5 square root of 2. Square root 2 times square root 2. Just multiply what is inside. We are going to have the square root of 4. And the square root of 4 will give us negative 5. We just consider the positive here. So we have over a 2. So this could be our x, like that. Let's look at our next problem. So the approach is the same for this one. So we are going to say, let's find our product. So product is equal to AC. Our A is equal to the square root of 3 times our C is equal to the 7 square root of 3. So we are going to end up with 7 times 1, which is outside. We have 7. Square root 3 times square root 3, that's square root of 9. Just multiply what is inside, like that. So taking the positive, we have 7. Square root of 3 is square root of 9 is 3. Then our 7 times 3 gives us a 21. So this is our product. If this is our product, then our sum should be equal to B, which is equal to this value, the one with just x, which is equal to 10, like that. Then our factors are the values which, when we add them, they are going to give us a 10, but when we multiply them, they are going to give us 21. So these values, you can even take them from here. Mostly we are going to see for the next one. So if you add 7 plus 3, it's 21. If you add, it's 10. If you multiply, it's 21. So just taking this and the equation is saying that so our factors are equal to 3 and 7. So you can have the square root of 3x squared plus our 10 plus the 7 square root of 3, like that. So from here we are going to replace our factors. So I prefer you begin with the one that is similar here and 7 is similar there, so you follow them like that. It's okay to interchange them, but for the sake of simplicity. So what we are going to do is, we have the 10, this is 10x. We are going to replace these factors here. So we have the square root of 3x squared, then we have plus our 3x, we have plus our 7x, then we have plus our 7 square root of 3 should be equal to 0. 7x plus 3x will give you 10x. You haven't changed anything. From here, factorize. Begin with factorize the square root. You have the square root of our 3 like that. Even x is common, so what we are going to end up with is the whole equation. Write it for the sake of understanding. We have the square root of 3x squared plus our 3x. Divide whatever you have factorized. So we have this square root of our 3, then we have our x like that. That's the value that you have divided. We have the square root of 3x like that, then plus 7 and 7 is common, so we are going to say 7 open brackets x plus the square root of our 3, which should be equal to 0 like that. So we are going to end up with this situation. We have the square root of our 3 x like that, then we are going to cancel this and that, x and x will go there, so we are going to end up with even this one and this one will go. So there on top we are just remaining with our x plus, then we have a 3 over the square root of 3, then we have plus our 7 x plus the square root of 3, which should be equal to 0 like that. So after doing that, we need to make sure that the brackets are the same, so we are going to conjugate this. So we have the square root of our 3x, then we are going to say x plus our 3 over the square root of our 3. We multiply by the square root, we multiply by the square root of 3, we multiply by the square root of 3, then we have plus 7 times our x plus the square root of our 3, which should be equal to 0 like that. So after doing that, we are going to simplify. So we have the square root of 3x open brackets, our x, then we have plus 3 times square root of 3. We are just going to say 3 square root of 3 over the square root of 3 times 3 will give us 9, one common square root. Then we have plus 7 x plus the square root of 3, which should be equal to 0. So we are going to have the square root of 3x, x open brackets x plus 3 square root of 3, square root of 9 taking the positive is 3, then we have plus 7, then we are going to say x plus the square root of 3, which should be equal to 0. So there's 0 at the end there. So we are going to be having something like the square root of 3x. Remember, this one and this one cancel, so in the bracket we'll have x plus the square root of 3 like that, plus our 7, then we have our x plus the square root of our 3 should be equal to 0. From there, if the brackets are the same, you can attest to say, if I multiply this one and this one, I'll still get square root of 3. X times x is x squared. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 will just give you a 3, because square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is square root of 9, and square root of 9 is 3. Then we have our x. So that means to say overall you haven't changed any meaning, so it's still the same. It's still the same. We can still go back. That's the good part of factorizing. So now when we have such a situation, we take the brackets. So we are going to have our x plus the square root of 3, one bracket, and the other one will be the square root of 3x plus our 7, so should be equal to 0. Finding the values, we are going to say our x plus the square root of our 3 should be equal to 0, or the square root of 3x plus our 7 should be equal to 0. So what we are going to have is our x should be equal to, we take this the other side, it will be minus the square root of 3, or we are going to have our square root of 3x, then we take it the other side, it will be negative 7, like that. So we are going to have our x should be equal to negative square root of 3, or we are going to have divide the square root of 3 on both sides. We are going to have our x should be equal to negative 7 over the square root of our 3, like that. Then multiply to find the rationalized one. We have the square root of 3 times the square root of 3. The answer is negative 7 square root of 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is square root 9, which will give us the square root of 9 is just 3. This is your value. So from here, we are going to say product should be equal to AC, which is equal to 3 in this case, square root of 5 times the 10 square root of 5. So remember, this is your A, this is your B, this is your C. So we are going to have the numbers outside, they multiply. 3 times 3 times 10, sorry, will give us a 30. Then we have the square root of 5 times square root of 5. That's the same as take 1 square root 5 times 5, it will give you 25. Taking the positive, we have 30 times the square root of 5 is square root of 25 is 5. 30 times 5 will give you 150. So this is our product. Then when you find your product, let us find let's identify our sum. Our sum is 25, so we have a 25, like that. Then our factors, two numbers which when you add them they are going to give you 25. When you multiply them, they should be able to give you a 150. So in this case, we are going to have two numbers. If you have 10 and 15, if I add 10 plus 15, it's 25. If I multiply them, that's 150, like that. So since the 10 is here, let me interchange the factors so that it's much easier to multiply, but it will still give you the same answer. We have a 15 comma a 10, so that the 10 here can be able to more like cancel with that. So we have this 3 square root of 5, then we have this x squared plus our 25x, then we have plus our 10 square root of 5 should be equal to 0. So I put the 10 here so that it is closer to this value. So we have the 3 square root of 5, then we say x squared plus 15x plus the 10x plus the 10 square root of 5, which should be equal to 0. After you do this, simplify. So what we are going to have is take the roots of this to be the common, but it has got a number, so take both of them, they can enter into 15, and say 3 square root of 5. Then you take just one x is common here, here and here, so we are going to just write the equation the way it is. So we have 3 square root of 5 x squared plus our 15x. So divide this value. We have the 3 square root of 5 x over 3 square root of 5 x, like that. Then we are going to say plus, here our 10 is common, 10 is common, then we have our 10x plus 10 square root of 5. So over 10 over 10, that's the meaning. So we can have our 3 square root of 5 like that, x. Then we are going to remain with this one, and this one goes, this one and the power goes. So we are going to have our x plus 3 divided by 15 is a 5. So we are going to say 5, this x and this x goes, then over our square root of our 5 like that. Then we have plus our 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Then we have our x there. So it will be x plus the square root of our 5. Then this should be equal to a 0 like that. After doing that, we are going to have our 3 square root of our 5. Then we have our x. Then we have our x plus the 5 over the square root of our 5. To make it similar, conjugate. So we have the square root of 5, square root of 5 plus our 10 x plus our square root of 5 like that should be equal to 0 like that. So we have our 3 square root of 5 x. Then we are remaining with our x plus 5 times the square root of 5. It will be 5 square root of 5 over 5 square root 5 times square root 5. You are going to have the square root of 25 plus our 10, then x plus the square root of 5 like that. What we are going to remain with is a 3 square root of 5 x. Here we have x plus our 5 square root of 25 is 5 plus our 10 x plus the square root of 5 like that. So we are remaining with our 3 square root of 5 times our x, this one and this one goes, plus the square root of our 5 plus the 10 x plus our square root of 5 like that. So this is equal to 0. The brackets are the same, pick them. So we have our x plus the square root of our 5. Then we have 3 square root of 5 plus our 10 like that should be equal to 0. Either x plus the square root of 5 should be equal to 0, or we are going to have, so taking the 5 the other side, it will be x should be equal to negative 5, negative square root of 5, that's our value. Or taking this other one, which is our 3 square root of 5. So this one has got x, even here x. So we put x plus 10 should be equal to 0. So we are going to have our 3 square root of 5 x. The 10 goes there, negative 10. Then we have over our 3 square root of 5 over our 3 square root of 5 like that. So we are going to have our x should be equal to negative 10 over 3 square root of 5. So this is our value. The conjugated value can be square root of 5 times the square root of 5 to be equal to, our x should be equal to negative 10 square root of 5 over our just the square root 3. Square root 5 times square root 5 is equal to square root of 25, which should be equal to x is equal to negative 10 square root of 5 over 3 times our 5. Our x can be equal to negative 10 square root of 5 over 15. So this is our value of our x, which can be reduced to 5 can enter into both. So we are going to have negative 2 square root of 5 over 5 divided by 15 gives us 3. So this is our value, the conjugate in the conjugated form. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you would like, subscribe and share for more. See you in the next tutorial.